Ja. Vom starken Anstieg des Goldpreises 2016 profitieren nicht nur die Produzenten des gelben Metalls, sondern mittlerweile auch wieder die Explorer des Sektors. Eines der interessantesten Unternehmen aus diesem Bereich ist unserer Ansicht nach West Red Lake-Projekt, die in Kürze ein Bohrprogramm anstoßen werden, mit denen sie auf sehr vielversprechende Ziele abzielen. Wir sprechen jetzt mit Tom Meredith, Chairman des Unternehmens, und wollen von ihm wissen, wo er denn das Potenzial sieht und was sein Unternehmen genau plant. Welcome, Tom.
Thank you, Jorn. Thank you for having us.
Tom, some of our viewers might not yet know West Red Lake-Projekt. Just give us a short background on the company, on the project you're working at, and what you've been doing so far.
Sure. The project is located in Red Lake, about 10 or 15 kilometers west of Goldcorp's Red Lake property, where they have two big mines in operation. And we have about a 12-kilometer long property with 3 former producing gold mines on the property. And those mines were producing in the 1930s is when they all started, when people found gold at surface and just mined the gold. They didn't do any exploration. And today, what we're doing is we're doing exploration first to be able to design a mine project. And we think the property has, first of all, we have a good gold deposit on the property, the Rowan, where we have a little over 1 million ounces of gold, which we plan to expand with the next stage of drilling and grow that deposit. And secondly, about 1 kilometer away from the Rowan mine, we have a big exploration target, which our partner Goldcorp, which owns 40% of this key area of the project called the Rowan property. Goldcorp is very interested in this other exploration area, which they see and we see and some of our shareholders see as having very significant exploration potential. So we have 2 good targets on the property.
So the project that Goldcorp is more interested in, from what, like you said, is what you call the structural intersection, right?
Yes.
Could you explain a bit what that is and why is that so interesting to you?
It's interesting because in Red Lake, as in typical geology in the Archean, the Canadian Shield, you have major geological structures where mines are typically found, and we're sitting on an east-west structure that goes from our property all the way into Red Lake, where other mines are located on this key structural area. And then we have another structure that comes from the south onto our property, and it intersects with the east-west structure. So you have an intersection of 2 major structures. And the intersection of 2 major structures creates the opportunity for bigger gold zones. And in Red Lake, Goldcorp's most famous mine, the Red Lake mine, is at the intersection of 2 structures where they found a zone that created a huge amount of value for Goldcorp back in the mid-90s. The value of Goldcorp in those days, it was called Dickinson Mines, but the value went from the 50 million market cap to $8 billion on 1 gold zone at a structural intersection in their mine area. So this is why Goldcorp is so interested in the structural intersection on our property, and that's why they're our partners.
Okay, but if I understand correctly, up until now with the drilling, you've been drilling, so to speak, in the direction of that structural intersection. You've had some high-grade intercepts there, smaller shoots, I think, and also some lower-grade results. Are you happy with that? Was that what you were expecting?
Well, we're happy because it shows that there is, where the 2 structures intersect, there's high-grade gold in both structures, close to and in the area of the intersection. And that tells us that if there's high-grade gold in the area of the intersection in both structures, next we have to find where we can find big areas of high-grade gold. In other words, not just a narrow zone that might be 1.5 meters in thickness, but something that could be much wider. And when you get into a much wider zone, you get much greater value in the company and the property. And so what we're going to look for in the area of the structural intersection is where, when the 2 structures intersect, they create openings in the rock where you can get much wider zones. And that's why structural intersections are important.
Okay, so this is one kind of exploration game, let's say, and the other one is what you're also doing with this program is drilling below the existing resource on the Rowan mine property. Um, what do you think are your chances of success there? Is the structure, the resource you drilled out so far is open to into depths or to the depth or?
At the Rowan mine, we have a little over 1 million ounces of resource between surface and about 500 meters deep. Our deepest drill hole in Rowan is 450 meters deep, and so our plan is to expand the resource to depth because the zones go straight down. So we'll be drilling some holes at about 400 meters deep, say, and then we'll continue drilling deeper over time down to 800 meters deep, 900 meters deep in an effort to expand the resource from 1 million ounces to 2 million ounces. We think that's a relatively predictable exploration program because we know where the zones are and we know where they're going, and they always go to depth.
So when you say always, that's a typical behavior, so to speak, for the district, for Red Lake, or?
Yes, for Red Lake, for Timmins, for Val-d'Or, in the Archean greenstone systems, the zones go straight down because essentially they're cracks in the Earth's surface. So they're generally always vertical or nearly vertical, and mineralization comes from deep in the earth and comes up. So what we do is we can follow the mineralization to depth down to where it originally came from.
Okay, certainly sounds interesting. So, where do you think you'll be, say, in a year's time when you've run this program? What will be the next steps you're thinking about? Of course, it depends on the outcome of these programs a bit, but generally speaking, where do you aim to go in the next year or so?
Over the next year, our goal is to drill about 25 holes below the existing resource, say between now and the end of 2017. And our goal at that point would have identified about 2 million ounces. And then we will also, in that same time frame, be looking to do some upgrading of the resource around the surface area and start to look at economics and some preliminary permitting and the kind of general development work that people do to make mines attractive and ready to go for production, moving it along the development path. So that's what we'll be doing at Rowan, and then at the structural intersection, we'll also continue exploring there, looking for high-grade zones of value.
So, thinking into the future, say you grow the resource considerably and you strike it rich at the structural intersection. Are you mine builders? Would you plan or try to build the mine yourself or with the help of Goldcorp, or would you sell the company or your interest?
Well, the goal for our company is to develop the project to a point where another mining company would like to buy us. So if we manage to strike it rich at the structural intersection, we would anticipate that our partner Goldcorp might be interested. Or on the other hand, if we develop the Rowan resource very nicely, that could be attractive to other gold mining companies who'd like to get into a partnership with Goldcorp, they have 2 mills 15 kilometers away. It takes the road has to go a bit further than that because it has to go around the bay. But Goldcorp has two mills close by, so they could be just ship the ore over there. The high grade ore you can ship that kind of distance.
So, just to do a short recap, why do you think, in your personal opinion, why would now an investor look at the company and say, okay, this might be something that I would want to put my money in?
I can give 3 reasons. The first reason is our resource value right now is approximately $40 per ounce in the ground, and then in good markets like we had at the end of 2006 or the end of 2010, ounces like that in the market were valued at $200 an ounce. So we can see a revaluation of ounces in the ground, quite a significant one, as we enter the beginnings of a new bull market. And then secondly, we plan to double the number of ounces we have in the ground at Rowan. So by spending $4 million or so, expanding the Rowan deposit from 1 million ounces to hopefully 2 million ounces, we can double the value of, we can double the number of ounces in the ground and also get the benefit of a rising market value for those ounces. So that's we think, a fairly straightforward reason that people can see a good return on those efforts over the next 2 to 3 years as the market goes up. We predict the market's going to go up. And then the third reason is, if we have success at the structural intersection, then the company will become even more valuable. And and Goldcorp is essentially putting up the money for the structural intersection work. So, and that's what they're interested in. So hopefully we are successful there, and then we would anticipate a very substantial value from that kind of success, in addition to the more predictable success that we can have at Rowan.